Hello, it's Thursday, people. It's a week before our Christmas holidays and it's cold and sunny here. Give you one sec there. Hey Sharon, hi people, Monica, nice to see faces coming in, and Liz, good to see you there. Still cold here in Ireland, in Cork, but sunny. It's a nice sunny day today, which is really always nice. Studio is gorgeously warm when it's sunny. Hopefully now the sound works very well here. Fingers crossed, all doing well. We're getting into the festive season here. Good morning from Western New York. Happy Thursday. You're getting into the festive feel. I can hear there's acoustic Christmas music playing downstairs, and we're going to be having a little late night shopping today here. So anyone in Cork, 5 to 7 tonight, we're going to be here. There you've got rain and miserable in Pittsburgh. Oh, Monica, cold and snowing. About 40 inches from the past storm. Oh my God. That's actually never happened here in Cork. I can pretty much definitively say we have never had snow like that. Just doesn't get that cold. Like we woke up this morning and it was like 5 below freezing here in Cork yesterday morning. And just having to remember, how do I scrape ice off the car again? It's been because we've had several mild winters. The last 2 winters have more or less not gone below freezing. It's really strange. It's basically you keep waiting for a winter to hit and to get like kind of dip to freezing. That's about it. So the last week or two has been a little bit of a shock for the system here. While it's not crazy cold, it's cold for here. Rainy and cold in Virginia. So is everyone ready for Christmas? Are you all prepared? Have you got your gift knitting done? Has everyone kind of either planned what they're doing or got it all done at this point? Like I had a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about gift knitting, which I don't have with me actually because I ended up giving it early. But I was talking about my youngest, very large hands, with the result that when he gets shop-bought gloves, he tends to punch out of the top of them because they just don't fit or they're too tight here. So he's never been very happy with it. And so I kind of offered to knit him some gloves. But because the weather has been so cold, I finished them last night and I threw them across the room at him. And he's like, thanks, Mum. Nicola, you've not finished yet, but you're nearly done. And Sharon, good morning from West Coast of Canada. But I forgot how much I actually love knitting gloves. So I had some stash yarn. I've got a couple of boxes of stash yarn. It's either things that have I got several years ago and haven't used, or leftovers from other projects and things like that. But I don't use them all that often because almost all my knitting these days is specifically for patterns and things like that. So I actually pulled out and I found a few things that he might like and I lined them up and he picked out some colours to do them with. So he had two colours, but because the gloves were so large, I couldn't, one of them I was hoping to do the hands and then just the tips in the other colour. It didn't work. And so I ended up with kind of a bit of a hodgepodge of different fingers. Liz, you can't wait for Christmas. You've just finished a shawl for your sister. Oh, it sounds lovely. Liz, I love all of the hats that you did for your children. They're good. I actually feel like we almost need a group photo from Christmas from you, figuring out who has decided to wear what hat. You knit all the gifts. You need the gifts all year so you don't have the stress at the holiday. That is a really good plan. And I've actually heard of people do that. And I think if you do plan on knitting gifts, doing it steadily through the year is really the way to do it. But has anyone out there knit gloves before? Because I have knit them, but it's been a very long time, so I forgot the process. So I've got a book called just Handy Little Book of Patterns. It's got something where you can pick your gauge and pick the size. But because his hands were so large, the largest size, his hands were actually 1/4 of an inch larger than that. And when I measured the length they gave for the fingers, his fingers were almost an inch longer. I mean, so it suddenly made sense why he had so much difficulty finding gloves that fit him, because his hands were so much bigger. But when you're knitting gloves, the way you start off is you start here with all of them just knit together up to the cuff. And then if you've done mitts or anything like that, what you start doing is you do increases here and here steadily up to this point here, just working the thumb gusset. So at that point you've got the thumb here and you've got the rest of the hand. Then you put this onto a stitch holder and you've just got these ones here. So you knit all of those straight up until the baby finger. Then you take the stitches off the way across like that. And it's, if you're using double pointed needles, I find it too finicky. But I find that magic loop and circular needles works pretty straightforwardly, because when I'm doing it, I leave all of these on a second circular, and then whichever ones are being worked on each side, I'll just take it out onto another magic loop and work it along like that. So I do find magic loop makes it a little bit less fussy. Liz, you've never knit gloves. Gloves, they seem very finicky. Liz, if you can knit this little guy and you can knit those little sleeves, I can 100% guarantee you that you can knit gloves. And I think I'm going to, the only part that ends up being a little bit finicky is the gaps in between. And usually for where the gaps are, what I'll end up doing is I'll often pick up one extra stitch and then decrease it. And then I'll just take care when I'm weaving in the yarn in between to kind of close up any gaps along there. Eileen, you use double pointed for fingers. You find using double points for fingers challenging, tutorial and magic loop. On my website, actually, if you just run into the my website and you see magic loop, if you go into the search function, search for magic loop, you'll find a tutorial on magic loop. But it's the two circulars I find useful, because that way you're not moving stitches off onto second needles or waste yarn or anything like that. You're just taking the ones that you want, and it's quite a pleasant experience. So I definitely have to knit, and I think not knit, but write a pattern for gloves again sometime soon, because I had forgotten what a pleasant thing it is to do. But particularly watching my son's face this morning, and he's like, I've never had gloves that fit before. And then him looking at it and saying, it's kind of cool that it's all just from one piece of string, just knots one on top of each other, which really is the most amazing. It's the most amazing thing about being able to knit. And when he saw it happening over the last several days, he's like, God, you knit really fast, Mum. He didn't realize for something small like that it's a pretty fast process. Nicola, closing the gaps with an extra stitch works very well for you, as well as using the tail to close any other errant gaps. Yeah, that's exactly what I found, is that the combination of the two works pretty well. You won't always get everything, but you'll usually find one. Kathy, the only gloves you've made are Meg Swanson's I-cord gloves, so you're looking forward to my pattern. I would definitely suggest trying gloves out, and magic loop is a little bit easier because double pointed get a little bit futzy, I find, with them. So let me know, what kind of things are you knitting for? Liz, brilliant, glad you appreciate them. He loved them. He really did love them. So it made it worthwhile, and the fact that he could actually see the process and realize what went into it as well. I enjoyed it, because I haven't had something that was so needed, because it was literally something he couldn't get to fit himself. So Liz, you've got hats and you made a shawl. Anyone else out there knitting anything in particular for Christmas? Or how big? Tell me, what's the biggest thing any of you have knit for Christmas? Is it shawls, or is anyone actually knitting sweaters for people, particularly adult people? Very brave of you. I never seem to have managed to finish something for Christmas. I have great intentions, but I've frequently had work in progress where basically they'll try it and I'm like, okay, I'm this far up, but I've got 2 weeks off for the holidays now, so that means that you're going to actually get it by the end of the holidays. So they end up with a 3/4 done sweater and an IOU, more or less, by the time we're finished with the whole holiday season. Kathy, Christmas stockings. That's something I've been intending to do next year. That might in fact be the Christmas present giveaway that we do next year. I might do a big Christmas stocking with some interesting patterns on it. Could be a lot of fun. There, you're knitting your sister a sweater, but it just won't make Christmas. Yeah, I'm the same. It's too hard to push for Christmas for a garment. Nicola, fingerless gloves this year. Sweaters are the biggest. Lady Doc, hats, cowls, mitts, and you've made and gifted shawls. Excellent. And Monica, you've done sweaters in the past. Not specific gift knitting this year. No specific gift knitting. Lots of little ornament type projects. That's a lot more fun. I think small little bits and pieces. And one thing I realised that I don't have up on the website that I'm very eager to do, that I think it would work well for the Christmas stocking, is to put a tutorial up on duplicate stitch. Because if you want to go and if you do something very plain knitting wise and then you want to maybe put letters in or decorations afterwards, duplicate stitch is a lovely way of doing that. And you can even draw up your own charts and things like that you're able to do the duplicate stitch with. Kate, you're knitting a cowl for your friend. You've made good progress. Sharon, everyone in your family gets socks starting in July. I love it. Oh, God, you are good. You are very good. I cannot do that. I've done a couple of pairs before for Christmas, but I haven't done any. And we've got 3 sweaters last year. So this year, folks are getting hats and socks. Still very generous of you. Yeah, I am impressed by all of the gift knitting, but the key is definitely to start earlier and to possibly have it whereby if something doesn't quite get into play, that it can be a later one, or you can get an IOU for those bigger gifts, you know. But yeah, so if anyone is in Cork, come on into the studio this evening because it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some delicious snacks that Laura has made, some Christmassy snacks. Got a bottle of mulled wine that I'm sitting looking at. I think it's going to be very tasty. Might get that warmed up in a minute. And we've got a little bit of discount codes and things like that, and people can ask me questions. Eileen, lots of cowls. They're easy, and there's a great chance of finishing them on time. And there's Laura. She's knitting for herself this year. I have actually got Laura's Christmas knitting over here. I told you that we were all really crazy about our gilet this year. Well, the Merlot colour, which is this one here, Laura fell in love with, and she is actually knitting the Hawthorn sweater in Merlot. Let me pull it out here. So this is Laura's Hawthorn sweater that she gave me to share with you here. The gilet has got a slightly bigger gauge, but Laura kind of sized down a little, but wanted it a little oversized. So she's going with the gilet, which is going to give a slightly larger gauge, and that is just such a pretty colour. And in fact, we're both definitely kind of gone gilet mad this year, because this is the one that I had started. It's been a while ago I started it, but I'm still making progress on it. This is the Caelius that I'm doing a gilet. So it's in the Goland grey with the sage colours. I've got one sleeve done. The original is a little bit longer. It goes on, well, it looks shorter than it is because it's got, see, the edges have curled up, but once it's blocked, they uncurl a little. But this one I've got stopping around here, but the original was more tunic length. Still got a sleeve left to go. A bit like with the other one, gilet, the gauge gets bigger. So knit this on 4mm needles. And the gauge in the pattern is 21. I've got 20, but again, I wanted this a little oversized. You can see it's kind of got more of a flowy look to it, that I was happy with it to be a little bit bigger. So I kind of checked my gauge and opted to go with that anyway. Liz, enjoy tonight. It sounds like it'll be so much happy Christmas, everyone fun. That's exactly what it's going to be, Liz. It'll be happy Christmas, everyone fun. But I will be here next week because it's going to be the very last one before Christmas. The following day, so next week Thursday is the 22nd. The 23rd, we'll be closing midday here, and we're taking a full Christmas holidays, and we're going to be closed until the 4th of January when we will reopen. We may be on off on the 3rd, but the 4th is when we're going to be starting to ship anything out. Like, you can keep ordering over the holidays, but they will get shipped when they come back. 2 reasons for that. One is that it's a very good time in Ireland to have a holiday because everything shuts down. The post is shut down for most of the time. The shops for Christmas Day, New Year's Day, they tend to shut down. So it's a very quiet time, and so it is a good time to have a complete decompress. And I think that's really important. We're all working so hard these days, us, you, I think everyone around, that actually taking a stretch of time where you are totally off, you don't feel like you're missing anything, it is very, very important. And it gets more important each year, I'm finding. You know, spending time with family, spending time where you don't have to worry about missing something, about being late for something. I am very much looking forward to it, because last year was a little bit strange. We were meant to be going over to my sister in France. The whole family, it was the first trip. My oldest was in a house with COVID in Dublin. We thought that she was going to get COVID, so I ended up staying at home thinking about that we were going to go over. So everyone else went over just after Christmas, and I stayed and collected her in Dublin the day after. And the two of us had about a week completely alone with just the two of us. So it was really nice, but it was very, very quiet, because I'm used to having got my parents, or my mother, my sister's family, our extended family, and usually several other friends and girlfriends parents. We have a very large extended Christmas for several days. It's a lot of fun, but it's very intense. So going from that to an entire week alone was a little bit surreal. I think somewhere in the middle. Like, I like lots of people and I like quiet. So a little bit of alternating between the two is nice. Liz, everybody needs a break. You do. It's really important. And I hope all of you are intending on taking a nice break for yourself, whatever that means. Like, for some people, the break means sitting all day knitting and chatting with people. For others, it may be the complete opposite. It may be a matter of, I don't want to talk to anyone for a week. I want quiet. Whatever it means to you, make sure that you do get it and you look after yourself, and that you can actually give yourself a little step out of normal life and a little bit of a refresh or a restart. I think it's really important for our heads, and it allows us to enjoy the world or our work or whatever we're doing anew, and give us a fresh perspective. I think is always, that's important for me, and I'm guessing I'm not alone in that one. But that's kind of my ramblings for today. I think that my gloves were the big thing I wanted to share with you, and that's actually courtesy of you, because we were talking several weeks ago about gift knitting, and I was talking about my the hand problem, which is where someone said you could knit in gloves, and for whatever reason it didn't occur to me before that, which don't understand why, but I'm glad that we corrected that. And he's extremely happy with his gloves. And there will be, sometime in the next year, I won't promise it too soon, there will definitely be a glove pattern, because I did enjoy knitting them, and I would like to do something a little bit more involved than just plain stockinette stitched gloves, I think, next time round. Cynthia showed them again. I don't have them here. The weather was very cold, so I actually gave them to him last night. So I was just describing the process. They're completely plain vanilla gloves, and they would actually look ridiculous on me, because his hands are about this much longer and this much wider. So unless I physically had him here with me, it's not going to do much good, because they will not look like my gloves. I was just talking through the process. But I will put up the description again, because I'll just repost this, and it was right at the very beginning. But there'll be, normal Carol size gloves with options for larger sizes coming sometime soon in the new year, hopefully. So thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next week, and that will be the last live we have before the holidays, because we're all going to go on holidays. All right, bye everyone.